The movie begins in a gangster prison, where a man in a police guard shirt visits gangster Lee. He throws some pictures of boys he killed earlier, as he tells him to pay the price soon. Meanwhile, the prisoner assigned to clean the floors picks up a knife from the bucket and stabs the guard. Then he proceeds to take a gun and kills another police guard. A shootout broke out in which the prisoner killed 2 of the guards, then was mortally wounded. At the same moment, Lee grabs the man in the police shirt by the head and slams him into the door, leaving him unconscious. Later, Lee is released from his cell as he challenges the man to a duel. Due to his injury, the man loses consciousness and falls to the ground. Lee releases the prisoners as he suggests they take their weapons and escape. Later, the guards confront the prisoners face to face, and a shootout is exchanged between them, causing the death of all those present. Lee uses the opportunity to escape from prison. 2 months later, Dr. Eileen attends to an unconscious patient. His identity and origins were unknown. He eventually gets up and falls on the bed. Eileen goes over to check it out. Unfortunately, he wakes up with no memory. He doesn't remember how he was injured or even his name. He used the book that Eileen was reading, and he called himself Ishmael. While looking in the mirror, he recalls some short events. Ishmael later undergoes some tests. Over the next few days, Ishmael begins to recover as he spends more time with Eileen, and she reveals to him that he was found at the beach. The next day, a gang boss named Anto and his friend Bondi appear to be waiting for Lee. When Lee arrives, Anto informs him that he does not want to work with him again because of the poor quality of his weapons. Meanwhile, a fight breaks out outside between followers of rival gangs. Lee's henchman, Baysai, easily defeats Anto's men. Rika, a lady of Lee's followers, throws a knife at Anto's followers, and then she starts to fight against other men. Anto ends up being killed by chopsticks in his neck as Lee kills all his men. When he was about to kill Bundy, he told him that Ishmael, who was part of his gang, had survived. As a punishment, he shot him in the ear, then ordered him to go to the hospital to interrogate Ishmael. Bundy goes to the hospital and starts acting violently. The security guard stops him, but he slaps him. Then Eileen intervenes and supervises the treatment of his infected ear. Then he asked her about Ishmael's whereabouts, but she did not tell him anything. Fortunately, Ishmael arrived and stopped him. Bundy takes a glass bottle and throws it at his head, but Bundy pushes against the wall. Bundy is afraid of Ishmael's power and runs away. Later, Eileen and Ishmael travel to the city. She suggests that he come with her to Jakarta so that she can remove the bullet fragments from his head. Ishmael rejects the idea and will follow it when some details about his life are known. The next day, he took her to the bus station, but she was being watched by someone. When the bus left, cars began to follow it, thinking that Ishmael was on the bus, but he left before it started. The men stop the bus, and its driver is killed. Eileen at that moment called Ishmael to tell him what had happened. The gangsters killed all the passengers. There are only Eileen and a little girl left. Someone prepares to kill the girl, but Eileen comes out of hiding and begs him not to kill her. Bondi asks her where Ishmael is, and she tells him that she left him in the city. Meanwhile, Ishmael arrives at the bus on a motorbike. He starts looking for Eileen inside the bus, but he can't find her. Later, one of Bondi's followers enters the bus to burn the bodies and evidence, but he encounters Ishmael and a quarrel arises between them. One of the gang members pulls out the knife, but his hand is soon broken. He goes towards another person and then pours petrol on him to burn him. He tries to light the lighter, but fails to do so. He ended up killed by a bullet in the eye. At the same moment, another enters and throws a torch at the bus. Ishmael managed to escape by breaking the rear window glass. When he leaves, someone attacks him and tries again to get him into the bus to burn him alive, but he ends up dead. The police later arrive as Ishmael receives a blow to the head and falls unconscious. Eileen and the girl are captured and taken to jail. Because of Bundy's arrogance, he was killed by his followers. In the next scene, Ishmael appears in the interrogation room after he wakes up from his coma, where he was suspected of killing all the passengers on the bus, but he denied the charge and he defended himself, assuring them that his presence was to search for Eileen and the little girl. The Interpol official told him about the young men kidnapped by Lee's network who grew up to be loyal smugglers and criminal enforcers. Ishmael was also one of these children. The official reveals that they managed to arrest Lee, but then he managed to escape. In addition to that, the official shows a picture of Lee and Ishmael together in a restaurant. However, Ishmael does not remember any details of the matter. The light in the room suddenly goes out and the official gets up to check, but the official is killed. The men go inside to kill Ishmael. He's defending himself with the table tied in his hands. A fight starts between them and then one of them throws a grenade at the police station. But Ishmael manages to hide behind the table. After the explosion, the killers enter to check the dead, but Ishmael appears from behind them and kills them using the pistol. Later, Ishmael tries to escape. He met Lee's henchmen at the exit. They start shooting at him, but he manages to hide as they split into groups to search for him. The fight begins again until he manages to get rid of them all. After the fight, Ishmael's memory flashes back. He remembers the people he just got rid of and the friendship they had in the past. Later, Lee visits Eileen as he calls his followers to inform them not to kill Ishmael, but he is surprised that the one who answers him is Ishmael. In the next scene, Eileen defends herself as she stabs Lee in the shoulder, so he looses his grip. Ishmael makes his way to Lee. He is reminiscing about when he was training. Upon arriving in the woods, he met one of his friends named Baysai. Ishmael has a flashback to his memories of Baysai and Rika when they trained together. He also remembers when Lee would starve them by putting them in the well and throwing some food to them. Whoever wins the meal and kills the others can survive the well. Ishmael tries to convince Baysai not to support Lee, but he refuses out of loyalty. A fight begins between them and ends with Ishmael overpowering him by hitting him on the head. Then Rika appears and begins to follow Ismail after discovering the body of her friend, Baysai. Then she shoots him, but he manages to escape. He used sand to dim her vision. At that moment, Ishmael remembers that it was Rika who shot him earlier and put him into a coma. Then he orders her to take him to Lee, but she refuses and challenges him to fight. A fight begins between them and overpowers her, but he refuses to kill her. She points the gun at him, turning away and firing stray shots. Ishmael gets scared and the knife slips away, where he accidentally fatally strikes her. He bids her farewell and tells her that he remembered all his memories. Afterwards, Ishmael discovers Lee's hideout. Meanwhile, one of Lee's henchmen attempts to assault Eileen, where the girl was able to save her and break the glass plate on his head. Eileen takes advantage and then grabs the gun and stunts, killing Lee's henchman. Meanwhile, Ishmael meets Eileen. She tells him that their relationship ended after her imprisonment. However, he makes it clear to her that he is no longer the man he used to be. Then Lee arrives, angry after discovering that Rika and Baysai were killed because he considered them to be his favorites. The two engaged in a very tough fight. Lee manages to control Ishmael due to his experience and knocks him to the ground. Ishmael was able to rise again and overpower Lee, causing him to flee into the woods. The fight continues outside and Lee ends up dead on the tree trunk. When he catches his last breath, he tries to pull Ismail towards him, but Eileen is able to save him. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more, hit the like button to support us, and leave a comment if you'd like us to review your favorite movie. Until the next time, take care.